Well, here we go. Darnell Parker
out of Fusion Mixed Martial Arts with Coach Mong Fu.
And what do we know about him and his 3-0 record?
Recently coming off a big win out in Western New York at another promotion, won their 185-pound middleweight title. You know, very well put together young man. You know, from the tape that I found on him, he really likes to engage in the clinch. He likes the 50-50 position. The one thing he likes to do is punch to get the takedown, but the punches you actually have to respect. A lot of times wrestlers will kind of throw a half punch. Like this guy will throw the punch, and if you don't move your head, it's going to suck, and he's going to take you down.
So everything has bad intentions.
Yeah, you know, you at least have to respect
or at least,
it.
Right.
You know, a lot of times if you're fighting a wrestler that can't punch, and they try to throw that punch, you can kind of just defend the takedown. With this guy, you've got to acknowledge the punch and defend that takedown.
And he's built like an NFL running back.
Yes.
And he's got ground and stand up. He's pretty well versed.
Yes. Yep. Not a ton of kicks. Tends to like to use his hands to punch and his grappling to take down.
Well, here's my son's favorite fighter on Cage Wars, Richard Cloudhammer.
All right, we got Richard Cloudhammer. We got Team Jucal. We see Beast Boy Chris Barnett there. You know, and we can't talk enough about how instrumental he was. You know, even though Rich was a part of Jucal for a long time, he's been gone from Jucal. You know, and really Chris Barnett has been instrumental in kind of transitioning and bridging that gap of training for him. You got to love Rich's 80s tights.
I love everything about. I love the entourage. He's got the UFC guys with him. This is really good. This could be a really big night for Richard Cloudhammer. He's got a tough opponent. I'm interested in this matchup.
That I'm going to say is
Rich
reached out to me and he said, hey, you know, this is my opponent. Do me a favor, look up some tape and tell me what you see. So I gave him my input on his opponent and what I see and, you know, past that might benefit him to victory. And he paused. He said, wow, that's really amazing. I said, what? He goes, Chris Barnett told me the exact same things. So he's going to have a very specific game plan tonight, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can execute it.
And he felt comfortable enough with his ability to deal with the game plan, right? He felt comfortable with getting that information from Chris and seemingly from you as well. So,
and I think it reinforced
good.
it with him.
Yeah.
He didn't need to reinforce it because Chris Barnett knows the stuff, but for both of us to not talk to each other and say the same exact things,
yeah,
it definitely takes some of the onus off of his own mind.
Absolutely. Like, it's unanimous. I got my second opinion, and it matches my first opinion.
We're bringing it up to Mike Falvo.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to our first championship fight of the evening. Scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds, it is for the Cage Wars 185-pound championship. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, weighing in last night at 181 pounds, representing Fusion Mixed Martial Arts out of North Roads, New York, Darnell Parker. And his opponent standing across the cage, fighting out of the red corner. He weighed in last night at 185 pounds, representing Team Jucal out of Scotia by way of Athens, Georgia, Richard Cloudhammer.
I mean, how can he not like Richard Cloudhammer?
You know, he's a nice guy, and he and I met through the internet, kind of like how we met Barnett. He's just kind of a nice, likable guy. You know, find common ground with him.
I mean, but look at him though. I mean, he's colorful. He's got the, he's painted. He painted his toe.
He doesn't take himself too seriously. You gotta love it.
He's awesome. So I got to ask you, what does Cloudhammer need to do in order to give himself the best chance?
He needs to keep distance.
Okay.
He needs to stay out of that 50-50 clinch. He needs to stay off center line. He needs to throw uppercuts because Parker doesn't enter like a traditional wrestler. He doesn't shoot hard for a double like Ryan Martin does. he just kind of plods himself forward into that 50-50 clinch.
And these were the things that Barnett was able to see
Yes.
as well, correct?
And
okay,
I also,
good.
you know, oh, look at that right hand. So you
come on.
got to respect his hands. You have to. If I was Rich right now, I would be clinching. And see, right now, I think Parker watched his fight with Carrasquero, and he wants to push the hands.
Yep.
Rich has got to weather this first initial storm for these first 3 minutes.
And I think he has.
But, you know, somebody like that, I mean, you know, Darnell Parker hits hard, you know, and Rich sees that.
I think Rich just needs to calm things down.
It's so hard for me not to yell instructions.
Yell it.
No, I can't. I'm a commentator.
So what? It's interesting.
I feel like Paul Felder right now. Paul
We're
Felder
in
gets
his
like this.
hometown.
Right now,
is not
Darnell
good.
in a very dominant position.
Not
you
good.
know,
Come on, Rich.
come on, Rich.
He's going to have to
Use
get up
your
here.
jiu-jitsu, brother.
Listen, it's hard not to.
Oh, this might be it.
Okay.
This might be it.
He's got to cover up. He's got to cover up.
He's got to defend himself effectively.
Well, exactly, and you're right. And
You know, not just cover up.
You're right, intelligently.
Intelligently, you
yes.
have to be making defensive moves. You can't just be clamming up. I mean, and this is what Parker wanted. He saw this in the Carrasquero fight. That Carrasquero kind of overwhelmed. He shock and awed Rich, you know, and I think that's Darnell Parker's path to victory here.
You know, Parker is pleading to the ref to stop it, but to me it doesn't look like Cloudhammer's taking a ton of punishment.
But he's also not defending.
And that's it, yeah. Okay.
Well, we didn't see a 50-50 clinch out of Parker that time. You know, I really think that his coaches watched that last fight and really came out with the game plan to throw heavy hands, kind of get Rich off center and, you know, take the win.
Again, good sportsmanship here. You know, some of these athletes are set to go next level, right? To go to a different promotion or become a champion. Richard Cloudhammer is a fan favorite. He's a guy that, you know, he fights because he's got a lot of heart, and you know he's won his fair share. But you could just see there's a bit of a difference here in terms of skill, perhaps even in terms of age. I mean, age has something to do with it as well. He's a younger, hungrier fighter here. Not knocking anything on Richard Cloudhammer, but this was definitely a
well, you know, but again, I mean,
performer.
Richard Cloudhammer has a real career. You know, he's got a business-to-business sales job. You know, he's got 3 kids. Like, he's at a different point in life than a lot of these younger athletes too. You know, like I'll tell you right now, there's no way that with my job I could even entertain anything like this at this point compared to these young folks.
Without a doubt.
We're bringing it up to Mike Falvo. That being said, catch me in the gym. How about that? I ain't got time for any of this shit, but you can catch me in the gym. I'll still do rounds today.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a round of applause for these 2 great fighters in our first championship fight of the night.
I mean, it's hard not to love and respect Richard Cloudhammer.
Referee Laszlo Huves called a stop to the fight 1 minute 34 seconds into round number 1. For your winner and new Cage Wars middleweight champion, Darnell Parker.